I was live last class. You know what happened? I was live. Okay. Last class, I was live, and Mr. McGee, Mr. Panullo, and Miss Dubek all came to my door, and I didn't notice them at first. They were literally all in the window. I'm like, what is going on? And then I kind of look over, and they're all like just kind of watching, and they're like, oh, go, 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 go. They like want me to keep teaching. I'm like, okay, this is awkward now that I see you, you know? So Mr. McGee came in, and he peeked his head into the side in order to say hi to the live stream, and then he left. Like, that was weird. Well, he's the only one that came in the room. Yeah. I don't know. Watching, admiring. I mean, come on. That's what I'm saying, right? I don't know. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, first and foremost, fantasy football update. Boom. Here are the standings. Now, here's the thing. Several years ago, what do we got there? Sorry, Aiden is on the live stream, and he's asking if he needs to be on there. In the other class from yesterday. Aiden, the class is telling me that you have to be. Anyway, so a few years ago, I had a student teacher. And I had a student teacher who was fantastic. And, you know, have you ever had a student teacher that's been terrible? No? Have you ever had a student teacher who's been terrible? Yeah. The one that I had a few years ago, fantastic. Fantastic. She teaches at Southern now, right? Fantastic. Now, she was so good, it got to the point where it's like, I'm literally sitting at my computer. I'm like, I don't even have to like watch what's going on anymore. She's so good. She's basically a seasoned teacher. So I sat at my desk for 3 months, and I put together the formulas for this spreadsheet. The formulas on the spreadsheet are phenomenal. You see along the bottom, you see all those tabs, right? On the bottom, it has all these tabs, and it has all these calculations. And basically, like right here for Pollock DeLeo, it has 2 wins right there. But look at the formula that actually did that. It's so phenomenal. It basically, like, this formula is like, okay, who's the name here? Let's find the right tab. Let's find how many wins they have, and then report back that number. It does it all automatically. Wait, I thought only on Fridays we had to. Sorry, it's Aiden. Yes. Because these are all the team tabs. These are all the team tabs. It's really phenomenal the way that this thing works. Check this out. So, for example, if you click on me, boom, it goes to my page, and it shows me my weekly schedule, and it shows me the scores, the results, and it has this calculation, which I'm going to show you what that is in a little bit, and it has a calculation of strength of schedule. Because, for example, week 1, everyone's 0-0. Week 2, I faced a team that was 0-1. Strength of schedule. It does it all. It's all me. Ha! So the beauty is I don't have to do any of this by hand. It does it automatically. All I have to do is type stuff in like this. This is all I have to type in. All I have to type in is what's highlighted in color. And exactly. But I devised all the formulas. For example, check this out. Week 1. Week 1, Hair DeSanto had a high score, week 1, which means it would have won no matter who their opponent was, right? That means that their true win percentage, they're 11-0. Whereas me, I scored 121.4. Now I won my game, but I only would have beaten 5 teams in the league. I would have lost to the other 6, right? True win percentage. So what it does is it automatically calculates all of that stuff for you. So for example, I'll do your you guys are in first place. I'll do your team, right? Yes. Well, there's 2 ways of looking at it. Strength of schedule is looking at your opponent's record. True win percentage is how would you have done against the other teams in the league that week. So, for example, I'll go your guys' team because you're in first place, Pollock DeLeo. So, for example, week 1, they won, but their true win percentage, they were 7-4. But then in week 2, their score would have beaten everybody. They would have been 11-0. So, all together, week in, week out. Now, their 2-0 is their actual record. 2-0 is their actual record. But against everyone else in the league at that time, they would have been 18-4. 18-4 They would have won 18 of 22 matchups. If you go to the standings, you can see right there, look what I've highlighted. That's an 81.8% win percentage. That's true win percentage. True win percentage basically says, how do you match up against everyone else with that score in that week? It's amazing. So this thing keeps track of everything. Everything. Yeah, Aiden was very upset over his true win percentage. So, yeah, 9.1%. Yeah. So, again, that's the idea. Now, here's the thing. Look at me. I'm 2-0. But look at my true win percentage. What that means is I got lucky matchups, right? I'm just saying, true win percentage actually measures how lucky or unlucky you are in terms of the matchups that you have. So, measured against your actual win percentage. So, for example, Stone Baker, they're 2-0, but look at their true win percentage. It's pretty high. Look at it. Now, this is actually really interesting. Del Percio Guarina, 0-2, right? They have a good percentage, which means that they're playing teams that they're scoring well, but they're playing teams that are scoring better. It means that they might be. Might be. So what I have done is I have put together my own power rankings. My own power rankings, which will be updated every week, boom, is based on 5 categories. It's based on 5 categories. First of all, where are you in the regular season standings? Where do you rank for points for? Where do you rank for points against? Because if teams are scoring a lot of points on you, maybe you're better than you actually think you are. Strength of schedule. What are your opponent's records at the time that you faced them? And this last one is true win percentage. And out of those 5 categories, 5 or 6? 6 categories, right? Whatever. Okay. It's probably 6. No, it's 5. 1, 2, 3, 5. Good. Out of those 5 categories, this thing automatically updates to give me a power ranking. In my power ranking opinion, who is the best team in the league at the moment? Snowden Baker. Even though Pollock DeLeo are number 1 in the league, look where they rank in points against. You know what that means? Well, I'm just saying, you know what this means though? This means that your team has had low points against. You face teams that have scored really low, possibly giving you easy wins.
Let me see. Oh my God, they actually scored 199.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Now, here's the most interesting part for me. Check this out. My team is 2-0. And yeah, I can continue being like undefeated the whole season. I probably could. But in my own power rankings, I've had the least points scored against me. Which is not, that's lucky though. Yeah. Which means that maybe my team is not as strong as I believe it is, which is reflected in my power rankings. I know, I do. I know. I'll just start Lamar at, quarterback, running back, wide receiver. You see Justin Tucker make that catch? Yeah. Justin Tucker, he's just standing there. He's like, oh, boop, got it. Ah! My running back? Who is my running back right now? Okay. I got you. Now, remember. All right. Reminder to you all. Now, today's Thursday. Tonight is the first game of the next week. Okay? Now, that's why that assignment is due, that fantasy football week 3. In your Google Drive, make sure you're finding it because I'm going to be looking at them. Some people have not updated them. You need to go onto your Google Drive, search Math of Sports. There should be a Google Doc that says Math of Sports and the last names of the owners on the team. So, for example, there should be a Google Doc in each of theirs that says Math of Sports, Snowden Baker. And that's where you are going to give me your rationale. Okay, what updates did you make? I started this guy instead of this guy because he seems to be doing better. I dropped this guy and picked up this guy because this guy got injured and I needed to replace him. I benched this guy because he's on a bye week or whatever. It's not a bye week yet, but I need to know what your decisions are. What is your rationale? And remember, you can trade with each other.
I know. No one wants to trade with me.
I'm just saying, you can. But again, if you do a trade, make sure you put in that rationale into the Google Doc. Dude.
I really do. He didn't target Dallas Goddard as much last week.
I gotcha. So,
No, I got.
oh, as a side note, they're the not the update, the preview of the AFC Championship game is this weekend.
No, oh yeah.
You know it is.
Yeah. It's the Chiefs.
Ravens Chiefs. Ravens Chiefs. Dude,
What about the Patriots about that game?
Okay. First of all, Cam Newton is the prototype of all of these quarterbacks today, right? But he is getting older.
He is, and that injury, as long as he stays healthy, I'm telling you, we're gonna make a playoff push.
All right, just saying.
But that was a good game. And
You're a Patriots fan? You're a Patriots fan, though? Hey, you got to talk to Miss Sellers. Miss Sellers is a huge Patriots fan. Yeah. I gotcha. Yeah. All right. But yeah, that's the fantasy football update, ladies and gentlemen. Please make sure, again, I'm going to be showing you this every week. Every week I'm going to be showing you this. It's going to be great. It took me a long time to kind of put this together, like months. But think about it. Like, I was just sitting on my computer with nothing to do for 3 months. What do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to do this because I'm a nerd. Anyway.
What fan are you?
Of team? Ravens.
Okay.
Ravens. I've been a Ravens fan since 2008.
No,
Yeah.
definitely not a fan.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan.
Yeah. Well, here's what happened. So I was living in Northern Maryland teaching. I'm from Barnegat, but I was living down there for a little bit. And it was 2008, 2007. And on the radio, they were doing sports radio. They were talking about who's going to save the Ravens season? Joe Flacco. And I'm like, who is Joe Flacco? First of all, what a cool name. But like, who is Joe Flacco? He was the third string quarterback, just drafted. He was the third string quarterback on the team.
That's what hooked you to the team?
Yes. But then the first two quarterbacks got injured.
Who were they?
No, it wasn't Trent Taylor. One of them was Troy Smith, a former Heisman Trophy winner, and I can't remember the second one. But yeah. So he ended up starting Rookie of the Year. A few years later, Super Bowl.
Yeah, he was so bad.
Yeah. Ah. Oh, he was. Yeah, right? Yes, it was. Okay. Next, ladies and gentlemen, you have an assignment on Google Classroom that is due on Monday by 2 p.m. Now, this is going to advance our information on baseball. In a moment, I'm going to take a little bit of notes with you guys. So you're going to have to write these notes down, of course, but to show you how to go about doing this assignment. What you have to do, go to this website, Wikipedia, with all baseball team rosters, and you're going to do a search for a player that shares your first name or has the same letter as your first name. You don't have to do that now, obviously. You don't have to do that now, obviously, because I need to show you what it is that you're actually calculating first. But you are going to be calculating various things. Oh, right. It's got to scroll down. Hold on. It was on there what you are going to be calculating. Boom. There we go. For each batter, you are going to end up calculating batting average, on-base percentage, slugging percentage, and OPS. For each pitcher, you're going to show calculations for ERA and WHIP. Now, yes, the websites tell you exactly what these numbers are, but I want you to go through the formula and confirm that these numbers are what they say they are. And I'm going to show you how to do those calculations in a few minutes. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you would, if you do not already have them out. I'm going to need those notebooks out and open. You missed it. I know you missed it. So, there are some basic statistics in baseball that they use to measure how good a player is. Basic baseball stats. Today is the 24th. You are going to pick a batter and a pitcher with same first name or first letter. I'm going to show you, it's very easy for me. And the example that I'm going to show you, first I'll start with somebody called James McCann. You'll see. Now keep in mind, you are only going to be looking at their statistics for 2020. Let me show you what you do. So first, I go to this Wikipedia page, which has a listing of every single roster in Major League Baseball today. Every single one. And I need to find a player. If you hit Control F, you can do a keyword search of the entire page. And I'm going to type in my name. Now, first I'm looking for a batter. This guy is injured. Maybe I don't want him. Oh, there he is. James McCann, a catcher for the Chicago White Sox. So I'm going to open up his page. This is a 30-year-old guy, blah, 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 played for the All-Star. Oh, wow, he's an All-Star in 2019. Good for him. I don't know. I don't really know much about him. I don't really care. Oh, good call. When you go to that roster page, which the link is on the Google Classroom, if you hit Control F, you hold Control and hit F, you can do a keyword search. And then you type in your first name or, just something similar to that. You got to find a player that either has your first name or has the same letter as your first name. You're going to do both. You can do one of each. So I picked James McCann as a batter right here. Now, the thing is, I said to click on external links. External links because you're going to find his Major League Baseball page. On his Major League Baseball page is where I'm going to find his summary statistics. Here we go. Oh, look at that. Yeah, he's been playing for a few years. 64 home runs. Oh, he was an All-Star last year, but yeah. No. Like I said, it could either be the first name or it could be the same letter. Yeah, same first letter. So I'm picking James McCann. Now, first of all, let's talk about batting average. Batting average is quite possibly the easiest thing to calculate. Batting average, which I'm writing into my notes, simply is the number of hits over the number of at-bats. That's literally how anybody calculates batting average. The number of hits over the number of at-bats. So let me look at 2020. In 2020, I don't know if you can see that. It's a little small. Can you see how many hits he had right there? 26 hits in how many at-bats? 94 at-bats. Now, mind you, this is updated daily. We did this the other day. I did this yesterday. He only had 90 at-bats. So he actually went 0 for 4 yesterday. Sucks to be him. Yeah. So we got to calculate his batting average. Now, according to this right here, he's hitting 277. Now, just for the sake of argument, hitting 277, that's 0.277. That means that he's getting a hit every 27.7% of the time. 277 is not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. It's kind of average. But it's a very basic calculation. So let's see what happens. If I do this calculation, 26 divided by 94. So we got here 26 divided by 94. Yep, it rounds up. 0.277. You can see that right there. But the thing that you got to know about baseball has very weird rules. A batting average is one thing, but a batting average does not take into account other ways you can get on base. How do you get on baseball besides a hit? A walk or hit by pitch. Yeah. There's also a thing like fielder's choice, but I'm not going to get into those details just yet. Oh, it's like, for example, there's a guy in second, you hit the ball, and instead of them trying to get you out, they try to get out the runner at second, running between second and third, or something like that, you know? It's like they didn't opt to go after you. If they opted to go after you, you probably would have been out.
If they get him, though,
I believe, yeah, the rules of baseball are so weird. They're so weird. But it's a very basic kind of calculation, like I said, because again, there are other ways to get on base, as we just said. So in recent years, last 20, 30 years, they have focused a bit more on other statistics besides batting average. They have also done something called on-base percentage. Because with an on-base percentage, you are counting things that help you get on base, but don't count as an at-bat. On-base percentage. OBP is calculated in the following way. The top of the fraction takes into account hits, walks, and hit by pitch, which we're going to do on the James McCann website in a moment. The top of the fraction takes into account hits, walks, and hit by pitch. But then on the bottom, they take into account the number of at-bats, the number of walks, the number of hit by pitches, and the number of sacrifice flies. What in the world is a sacrifice fly?
when there's a runner on third, you hit a fly ball, and runner from third scores, tag him.
Could be. Could also be second. Could also be first.
So, like, that's a gamble.
Yes, absolutely. Is it totally a gamble?
Who's hit the sack fly to first base, then who's tagging up, is what I'm saying.
Oh.
You gotta be really Hamilton.
I know. There was a movie in the 90s. I think you guys would really, really like it. It's called Little Big League. You ever hear of it?
Yeah.
Little Big League? Fantastic. It's so corny. It's called Little Big League. It's this kid. His grandfather owns the Minnesota Twins, and his grandfather dies, and the grandfather leaves the Minnesota Twins to the kid. Yeah, so the kid's now the owner of the Minnesota Twins. And then through a series of events, the manager quits, so the kid becomes the manager of the Twins. It's so stupid, but it's such a fun movie. But they do all sorts of like little trick plays and stuff like that. It's really cool to kind of like beat the averages and stuff like that. Oh, yeah. Well, like there's this amazing scene where they're in like this like one game playoff against the Mariners. And there's a guy on first. It was Ken Griffey Jr. Ken Griffey Jr. is on first base. He like got walked or got a hit or something. I don't know. So he was on first, and they decided they're gonna do the trick play. So what they do is like Ken Griffey Jr. They're like, oh, he's gonna steal the base. So like the pitcher throws the ball to first. Throw it back to the pitcher. The pitcher throws the ball to first because he doesn't want Griffey to steal. So he's trying to like keep him in check. And then the third time he throws it, the first baseman acts like, oh, the ball got by. And then all the grounds crew are like scrambling, like, where's the ball? And all the people in the bullpen are like, no, the ball's over there. The ball's over there. And Griffey's just like, all right, whatever. And he jogs to second base. But it turns out that the pitcher never threw the ball. And then he tosses it to second base and gets Griffey out. It's super fun. You know what I'm talking about. It's such a fun movie. Yeah, kind of like Hidden Ball Trick. Rookie of the Year was another good one. Yeah. 90s sports movies are better than today. I'm just going to say it. Okay, James McCann. Anyway, James McCann. We know how many hits he had, but we need to find out how many walks he had. It looks like he, in 2020, had 6 walks so far. And hit by pitch. Uh-oh. Do you guys see hit by pitch on this list? Oh, no. This whole thing is falling apart on me, I guess. How many times am I going to find James McCann's hit by pitch? If only there was some sort of advanced statistical chart on this page. If you scroll down, you find the advanced statistics right here, and there it is, hit by pitch 4 times this year. I know, right? Now we know how many at-bats he's had. We did that before. He has 94 at-bats. We know the number of walks. We know the number of hit by pitches. We just need the number of sac flies, which is also on this page. He has 2. So let me flip this back. Let's see if we can't get this calculation done correctly. The top of the fraction, I'm going to do this piecemeal. The top of the fraction is a 36. The bottom of the fraction is a 106, which gives him an on-base percentage of, now that rounds, if you can see that right there. It's a .3396. In baseball, when you give percentages, you got to round to 3 numbers. So we're going to round to .340. Let's see what his page said. For on-base percentage, there it is right there. We stinking nailed it. .340. But again, on-base percentage is one thing. On-base percentage is like small ball. On-base percentage, hits, walks meaning you're very patient. Hit by pitch, meaning like you're not scared to crowd the plate and get, plunked. Sacrifice flies, I don't know. So there is something that measures a batter's power. And that power is measured by something called slugging percentage. When you think of the word slugging, what type of hit do you normally think of? Home run, typically, yeah, typically. Typically, you think of a home run. Slugging percentage takes into account the power that a home run has. Also, the benefit that doubles and triples have. Question to all of you. Single, double, triple homer. What is the least likely to happen? Triple. Why? Lots of different things. You got to be fast. Maybe something happened in the outfield. There was a mistake. Something weird has to happen. You never know. Triples are very unlikely. Home runs are very clean. Just hit it over the fence. Done. Doubles, you can get doubles in a number of different ways. Just hit the ball in the outfield and just be fast, or bounce it off the wall, or just ground rule double, or whatever, Here's how you calculate slugging percentage. Slugging percentage takes into account, as we said, singles, doubles, triples, and home runs. 1B, 2B, 3B are a single, double, triple. And then a home run is obviously HR. It takes into account how many bases that you were able to go on that particular hit. And that's how they calculate slugging percentage. Now, obviously, if you are a power hitter, typically you would have a higher slugging percentage than anything else. So let's look at our friend James McCann here. Looks like he's had 3 doubles, no triples, and 6 home runs. Okay, so hold on. Equals 2 times 3 plus 3 times 0, because he had no triples. He's had 6 home runs. And we already know he's had 94 at-bats. Oh, crap. How many singles has he had?
Just do hits minus doubles, triples, whatever.
Exactly. The number of hits, subtract the number of doubles, triples, homers. That's how many singles you would get. Spoiler alert, he's had 17. That 17 would not be reflected. That 17 would not be reflected on his stat sheet. You would have to take the number of hits that he's had, which was 26. You would have to subtract the number of doubles, triples, and home runs in order to get this thing done correctly. But this is how you calculate the man's slugging percentage. It's really interesting that like a triple, like when we just talked about triples before, triples are more associated with speed and accidents in the outfield and junk like that. But like that doesn't really talk into somebody's power or slugging ability, you know? I don't know. The top of the fraction is a 47. The bottom of the fraction is a 94. And when you divide them exactly, I'll put it over here. I ran out of space. 47 over 94. And when you divide it exactly, you'd write it out as 0.500. It's exactly 50%. So you got to put it at three numbers, three decimals, 0.500. If we go to his page, boom, slugging percentage, 500, right on the dot. All right. In recent years, there has been one more statistic that a lot of people have looked at as, well, this is important. There's another statistic that people have looked at as, yeah, this also measures how good a player is. And it's something called OPS. But you're not going to see this really on Sports Center. You're not really going to see this advertised during games or anything like that. OPS is mainly for like people in the office to determine how good you are as a player. It's actually the easiest calculation in the world. Do you guys know how to calculate OPS? Not add them all up and divide. Say one more time. What was it, guys? Yeah, literally, OPS stands for on base plus slugging. Literally, if you just add these two categories together, it gets OPS. Think about it. Right here, two easy numbers. 340 plus 500. Boom. Easiest thing in the world. Easiest thing in the world. I'm just going to write it down. Then they have, as we said, OPS is on base percentage plus slugging percentage. For him, as we said, it would be 0.340 plus 0.500 equals 0.840. That is his OPS. It's literally just on base plus slugging. But again, on base percentage is small baseball. Slugging percentage is big baseball. Together, they give you a more well-rounded player. And that's how you can measure who's really good in the league. Yeah, this guy's decent. He's decent. He was an all-star last year. You know, I mean, he's not like, you know, he's not at the level of Mike Trout, you know. That's very true. Yeah, but he's not at the level of like a Mike Trout. Oh, okay. You do. You definitely do. Now, I got to find a pitcher. I got to find me a pitcher here. So let's find me a pitcher. Oh, yeah. I found this guy. His name's James Caprielian. He's 26. He's played one season. This is his one season. So if you click external links and go to MLB, you can find, oh, crap.
Yo, let's do Jake Green.
He hasn't played in the majors yet.
Oh, he hasn't played a single game?
Not in the majors. Jason Groom, he used to go here. Yeah, he's been in the minors for several years. He's had Tommy John surgery. It's been a mixture of just like injuries, and like when he wasn't injured, he was either really good or really bad. You know, it's kind of been a mix. I hope he makes it. You know. Yeah, they did. I know the Red Sox are in last place right now, right? Yeah. Anyway, this guy, look at him. He's only been in one game. He's only pitched 2 innings. It shouldn't be. Let's do it. Let's talk about ERA. First of all, ERA stands for earned run average. Earned run average is calculated in the following way. 9 times the fraction earned runs allowed over innings pitched. Oh, you can't see it. Boom, there it is. Now, they specify earned runs allowed because think of it this way. If you are a relief pitcher, and the pitcher before you lets a runner on, he gives up a double, and there's a guy on second now. So now you're the pitcher. You're the relief pitcher that just came in. That runner on second was not your fault. If that runner on second scores, that is not an earned run. That is what they call an unearned run. That is not your fault. Now, if obviously you let the batter on base and then the batter scored, that's an earned run. I have a baseball trivia question for you. I don't know if some of you are good at baseball trivia. Maybe. Who holds the record in baseball for the most consecutive innings pitched where they did not allow a run? Oral Hershiser. Yeah. Oral Hershiser in the 1980s. Oh, sorry, it says earned runs allowed over innings pitched. Yes. Oral Hershiser. Now, keep in mind, you got to think about unearned runs. Like if I'm the pitcher and the guy pops it out to the outfield, but then the outfielder drops the ball, that's not my fault as the pitcher, right? No, it's not. Dude should have caught it.
Yeah.
So if that dude scores,
saying a quarterback throws an interception off the receiver's
No, it's
hands.
not. No, it's not.
yeah.
How?
No.
How?
Do you see like there's a hard difference between baseball?
Yeah, there's a difference, but
It's not fair.
that seems kind of the same.
Not at all.
Well, here-
My ball, that is your ball.
But
Yeah.
you pitched the
Who's the
ball
coach for
that guy hit.
but
So
he-
it's your fault.
here's whoa. Here, how about this? As a pitcher, my job is not necessarily to strike everybody out. My job as a pitcher, and if you talk to any pitcher, they'll tell you the same thing. My job as a pitcher is to, yes, throw strikes, number one, but number two, to throw a ball in such a way where the guy's not going to hit it out of the park. My job is to force him to either pop it up or ground it out. That's my job as a pitcher. The best one who ever did it in history, Mariano Rivera. Just saying. Mariano Rivera made more guys pop up than anyone in history. Just saying. He also broke bats.
It's very routine.
Yeah.
It's very routine to just catch a ball. I'm telling you. It's
Yeah.
not hard at all. Like,
Yeah.
that is your job.
If you're talking about a receiver now, there's a couple things to that. Number one, if the quarterback's throwing the ball, he has to give the receiver a chance to catch the ball. Now, if it hits him in the hands, big difference now. Did it hit him in the hands while he was upside down after getting tackled through the legs, right? Did he have a chance to catch it? Was it going to hit him in the numbers? Was the route run correctly? Like there's a lot of other factors that go into that because during football, everyone is very close together and then tries to do what they're going to do. Whereas in baseball, everyone is very far apart and allowed to do whatever they need to do. You're comparing apples and oranges.
Don't even compare the two.
That still doesn't make sense. 'Cause that seems pretty much the same. If somebody drops it, it's
I understand that it seems the same, but you got to trust me on this. I'm right.
Mr. Markey is telling you gotta listen.
That just seems like the most obvious. No, if Mr. Mark is telling you something, you just got to listen. That just seems like. Oh.
the pitcher's goal.
That's the pitcher's goal, obviously, but it's
All right. So back to this guy, James Caprelion. First of all, earned runs allowed, very easy. He's only allowed 1. How many innings pitched? He's only pitched 2 innings. So this calculation, look at this calculation. It's 4.50, yeah. Earned run average is typically listed as 2 decimals. So please keep that in mind. It is, but that's how you do ERA. But here's the thing. For decades, People have listed ERA and they've said, look, this guy's a lower ERA. That means he's the better pitcher. But in today's day and age, we know better. There are better ways of measuring how good a pitcher is. And that's the last calculation I want to show you. WHIP. WHIP. WHIP is a much better calculation as to how good a pitcher is. WHIP is a much better calculation. Because look what it takes into account. Look what it takes into account. It doesn't talk about earned runs. It talks about walks and hits. Does the pitcher give up the walk? Does the pitcher give up the hit? Yes. Yes. Now, obviously, Matt, we're talking about before about the outfielder dropping the ball. Now, if the outfielder drops the ball, that's an error on the outfielder, which means it would not count as a hit towards the pitcher. I know.
The batter hits the ball. That should be a hit.
It kind of is. If a pitcher is like struggling, a pitcher's not going to strike out everybody. A pitcher's not going to strike out everybody.
That's a perfect game every day.
No, I know.
It doesn't matter. If a batter hits a pitch, that
Yes.
should
You
be
never
a
watch
hit.
baseball.
No, I know, but you're also talking about, even if I didn't teach this, I'd still be arguing it. Yeah. No, it's not common sense. I'm just saying, as a pitcher, like, and that's why a lot of people today don't like baseball so much, because baseball is more not like action. Baseball is more of a chess match. And there's a chess match between a hitter and a batter. Now, I'm gonna go back to a really weird example. The 1996 World Series. In the 1996 World Series, it was the Yankees versus the Atlanta Braves. The Braves won the first two games in New York. So the Yankees had to go down to Atlanta for 3 games in a row, and they had to do something in order to turn this series around. This was Derek Jeter's rookie year, mind you, right? So in one of those games, they won the first game, which is great. And then in the second game, they needed to win this game too. There was this chess match between the batter and the hitter. And I watched this whole video on it where the at-bat lasted like 15, 16 pitches. But yeah, 15, 16 pitches. He kept fouling them off. He couldn't get the ball in play. This was like an older player. He didn't really like have the power with him anymore, but he kept fouling it off. And then eventually by the end of it, he earned a walk. Yeah, he earned a walk. They switched him out for a pinch runner because he was slow. And they ended up winning the game thereafter because that guy eventually scored. You know, it's a chess match. That's what baseball is. It's not just about getting home runs and stuff like that. Sometimes the pitcher wants the guy to hit the ball because he's got a defense behind him. That's the whole point of baseball. Yes.
The pitcher pitches the ball.
Yes.
The batter hits it.
Correct.
It rolls to the outfield. Is that a hit on the pitcher?
Rolls to the outfield now. Rolls to the outfield. Like goes through the outfield into infield towards the outfield. Now, it's a hit as long as the infielder didn't make a mistake like trying to field it.
Okay, let's say it's over the shortstop's head, and then it like bounces right behind.
Base hit.
That's on the pitcher.
Yes.
How was he going to catch it though if it went over his head?
Over his head. He tried to jump and he couldn't get it.
To an
Yeah.
area where like no one is, that's good on the catch.
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as somebody.
Bro, we are proving all your points.
All
right, back to this.
Wow.
One.
I don't know baseball like you, bro.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
You don't know football like I do?
How does baseball
I don't-
All right, we'll get there. I'll tell you in a minute. All right, back to this. Now, I'm going to answer your questions more, but I'm going to throw this up here for calculating his whip. The whip for this guy is literally just 1.00. You can see that right there. Now, you're talking about baseball and all that stuff. That's fantastic. If you have these questions, please ask them because they're being a bit contentious because they're just like, oh, do you not already know this? But the thing is, I teach this stuff. And I love this stuff.
I like the beat.
You know? Okay. Well, we'll talk more about debate in a little bit because we have roughly 20 minutes. So we may only have like 5 to 10 minutes for the debate. Yeah. But anyway, that was the last calculation that you have to do for that homework assignment, ladies and gentlemen. That homework assignment that you are going to do, again, you were going to research a pitcher and a batter, has to have the same first name as you or the same first letter. And you are going to do those calculations. Take a picture of it, send it in. The instructions are on Google Classroom. Oh, no, I'm so sorry about that. All right, let's talk about our other debate. Boom. Yesterday, the class debated Bonds and Tomei. They debated Bonds and Tomei, and as a result, they voted Bonds. They voted Bonds actually unanimously. Hold on. You guys can debate later. Back to this. I got you. Now, they also debated Alex Rodriguez and Willie Mays. And even though they voted Bonds over Tomei, talking about Bonds with his PEDs, performance-enhancing drugs, they voted Mays over Rodriguez because of the PEDs. It's really interesting. So, let's talk very briefly about Babe Ruth and Albert Pujols. Now, we have some people who did some research on Babe Ruth and Albert Pujols. Let's talk about this. First of all, someone give me something for Babe Ruth. People who researched it. Oh, we got some crickets now. He did play for 3 different teams. Yes, he played for the Red Sox, the Yankees, and he spent 1 season with the Boston Braves. But how about as a home run hitter? What was the slugging percentage, career? 0.690? No, that was slugging, right? Yeah, that was slugging percentage. Slugging percentage, anything over 500 is considered really good, but then the higher that you get, the more difficult it is to sustain that number. Pujols. First of all, how many total home runs did Babe Ruth hit? One of the more famous numbers in the history of baseball. Yeah, 714. I think you inverted it when you wrote it down. How many home runs has Albert Pujols hit so far? Because he's still playing.
Like 600 something.
662? Now, Pujols is still playing, obviously. I believe Pujols has never been accused of performance-enhancing drugs.
No, we haven't.
Yeah. And Babe Ruth was a drunkard, you know. Anyone research what Babe Ruth did for the first 5 years of his career?
Bottle stuff for me.
You know? He was a pitcher.
Oh.
5 years of his career, he didn't hit the ball. I mean, he hit it sometimes and stuff like that when he went up to bat because they still had the pitchers went up and hit. But he was mainly a pitcher for the first 5 years of his career, which means he didn't play every game. Still hit 714.
He still hit it.
The what?
He still hit it.
What else can you tell me about Babe Ruth or Albert Pujols? Anybody? Either one. Albert. Go ahead.
Albert. Well, I don't know. Albert Anderson. I love him because I've been watching him since I was a kid.
Okay.
So I think and nowadays I think it's more impressive than the pitchers back then. That's my first.
Okay. More impressive than the pitchers back then. Okay. I'm just repeating what you're saying, you know, because it was in the 20s that they called it the live ball era in the 20s because they changed certain rules and the makeup of the baseball and things of that nature and things were flying. I know, right? Bad word. But yeah, it was 100 years ago. What else any statistics about either two of them? Babe Ruth, Albert Pujols. Batting what? I couldn't hear you. Different batting what? Batting hands. They're all one. Babe Ruth was lefty, and Pujols was righty. All right.
Pujols had a 547.
Oh, so he had 547. You know, the interesting thing is Albert Pujols grew up in this day and age. He's had all of the modern technology, all of the modern training and things of that nature. Babe Ruth grew up in an era where literally between innings, he would like go into the dugout and like drink beer and eat hot dogs. I'm not even kidding you. You know? What did Babe Ruth have? Hits. Yeah. All right, so you had 2,800 or so. All right, 2,800 or so. And again, the interesting thing is, like I said, the first 5 years of his career, he didn't do that. He played for 20 years, Babe Ruth.
Oh yeah, he would have.
Yeah, you never know. Look, I'm gonna ask a question here. You guys would be honest with me. I'm gonna do a little bit of a zig when I should have zagged. You'll see. So I wasn't here on Thursday. You were watching the live stream. Now I've seen the things that you guys have turned in through Google Classroom in preparation for this. But is it fair to say that we may not be as prepared as the previous class because they were here? Yeah. All right, here's what I'm going to do instead. I'm going to keep these here for now. I'm going to ask you to continue doing that research. I did put out another assignment for the next round, okay? Keep doing your research on these players. I'm going to expect something. We're going to do all 3 rounds next week. We're going to have a vote on these 2 next week, and then we're going to have a vote on the winners of those 2 next week. Now, they already did theirs. They're just going to be voting on Bonds and Mays. Obviously, we can't, debate together on that and kind of thing, But we'll have this debate next week. I'm going to postpone it and give you the guys the opportunity to do more research. Again, the whole point of this was to be able to research these players in terms of home run hitting ability, the greatest home run hitter of all time. I want you to take some time throughout the next week. Again, that assignment's on Google Classroom. Research it in preparation for the next part that I'm going to do. I'm going to post that next part hopefully today. And we'll get into it because, yeah, obviously I wasn't here last week. You guys were, but we do need to get into that. For future reference, though, even if I'm not here, I do expect you guys to do the full extent of the assignments that I'm asking you and be able to watch the live stream, because I get the feeling that some of you may not have watched the live stream. Just saying. Anywho. So, with the time that we have remaining, I want to show you a video. I talked about Barry Bonds. Yes, we are done with notes. Yes.
It doesn't let me turn into fantasy football.
Oh, you just mark done. Yeah. No, the Google Doc that I'm asking you guys to update, I already have access to that. Yes. All right. Listen to this.
This is probably going to sound stupid, but what if Barry Bonds had played without a bat? That sounded as stupid as I thought it would. I'm serious, though. What if Barry Bonds went up to the batter's box empty-handed every time and just stood there until he was walked, struck out, or hit by a pitch? I wanted to know, so I simulated every plate appearance of his 2004 season as though he didn't have a bat. And it turns out that without a baseball bat, Barry Bonds would still be really, really good. Hey, could someone get the lights? Thank you. Barry Bonds was one of the best baseball players who has ever lived. What was his secret? Nobody knows. If you think you know, please go to the comments below and get into a huge fight. Before we get to our experiment, let's examine how good he was with a bat. What you're looking at is the entire history of Major League hitting. There are more than 17,000 dots on this timeline, and they represent the OPS of every full season a hitter ever had. OPS is a great stat. If your OPS is high, it means you get on base a lot, you hit for extra bases a lot, and you probably hit a lot of home runs. If your OPS is 1,000, you might win the MVP award, but if your OPS is 1,250, you might be the greatest hitter ever to walk the earth. As you can see, no hitter ever made it that high for the first 50 years or so of Major League Baseball, and then Babe Ruth came along and did it 6 times in an 8-year span. He was the only man ever to get to 1,250 until 1941, when the great Ted Williams hit 1,287. Then he went off to war, came back, and managed to do it again. And for decades after that, despite the best efforts of Hank Aaron, Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays, William Covey, nobody even came close. Even in the power mad 1990s, nobody could quite get there. And then, for the first time in nearly half a century, 4 players broke the 1,250 barrier. Their names were Barry Bonds, Barry Bonds, Barry Bonds, and Barry Bonds. consecutive years, Bonds put together the fourth best, second best, eighth best, and best season in the history of baseball. This history was written by thousands of players over the course of 130 years, and one man laid waste to all of it as though it was nothing. You might think this is mostly a function of the era he played in. Okay, well, here's Barry Bonds' OPS in 2004, and there's the second best that year by Todd Helton, and there's Craig Counsell's, the worst. The difference between Bonds and number 2 is almost as great as the difference between number 2 and number 161. It's like he almost lapped him. Barry Bonds broke baseball. Look at this. In 2001, he hit a major league record 73 home runs, but in 2004, his OPS was better despite hitting far fewer home runs. Turns out there's only one thing more powerful than home run ability: fear. The rest of baseball was scared of him. In 2004, opposing pitchers walked Bonds 232 times, an all-time record that is probably unbreakable. 120 of those times, the pitcher did the work for him by walking him intentionally. This is another unbreakable record because even if you look at the all-time top 10 intentional walkers, his total doubles or triples the rest of the field, including guys like Barry Bonds, Barry Bonds, Barry Bonds, Barry Bonds, and Barry Bonds. The ultimate sign of fear and respect is to walk a man with the bases loaded, as Greg Olson did to Barry Bonds in 1998. Now, second to that would be walking a guy with the bases empty. The worst that's going to happen is a solo home run. Are you really that scared? It happens, but it's rare. Since 1930, it's happened 165 times in all of Major League Baseball, so about twice a year. Here's a very brief history of the bases empty intentional walk. For a long time, it almost never happened, and then it started happening way more. Those chunks in orange are all the bases empty intentional walks issued to Barry Bonds. Look at 2004. They issued 19 intentional bases empty walks in Major League Baseball, and they were all to Barry Bonds. This isn't just a bunch of bars and numbers you're looking at. This is fear. Fear was his bat. He didn't need a bat. Let's take his bat away. Okay, so this is the nature of our experiment. Barry Bonds travels through a wormhole back to 2004 and relives each one of his 617 plate appearances without a baseball bat. He just stands in the batter's box and whatever happens, happens. Maybe he gets struck out, maybe he gets hit by a pitch, maybe he draws a walk. So he just gets struck out every time, right? Well, here's the kicker. The pitchers don't know he doesn't have a bat. They throw him the exact same pitches they otherwise would have. So let's see how often Bonds gets on base. Let's find exactly how far one man can get through nothing but reputation and fear. For this experiment, we need to get all the data we can get our hands on. I was originally hoping to use PitchFX, the computerized pitch tracking system, but unfortunately it wasn't introduced until 2006, just a little bit too late. Thank God for RetroSheet, which is probably the most comprehensive historical archive of any sport that exists anywhere. Decades of exhaustive research have produced pitch-by-pitch data of a countless number of games, including every game Barry Bonds played in 2004. RetroSheet tells us every single pitch, every ball, every called strike, every swinging strike, everything. This is a gold mine. Let's start with the plate appearances we don't have to experiment with at all. Barry Bonds made 617 plate appearances, and in 191 of them, he never swung his bat. About those 191, in 2 of them he struck out looking, 5 of them ended when he got hit by the pitch, 67 were walks, and 117 more were intentional walks. So in real life, when Barry Bonds didn't swing the bat, his on-base percentage was .990. Now, to suggest this rate would stretch across an entire season wouldn't be very honest, because there was a reason Barry Bonds, who had tremendous play discipline, didn't swing at these. They were bad pitches to hit. Pitchers were scared of him all season, but not that scared. No, we need to take the long road with this one.
Advertisement.
Let's see what you got, Barry. I've got all 617 plate appearances loaded up and divided into 3 categories. Walks are hit by pitches, strikeouts, and plate appearances that ended with a ball hit into play. First, let's knock out the easy ones, the walks or the hit by pitches. This is the pitch-by-pitch notation we found on RetroSheet. You can tell that these are the 9 hit by pitches because they all end with the letter H. Below this, we've got a ton of intentional walks. Most of them have 4 eyes, each of which stands for an intentional ball, but these are funnier to me. Look at this one, BFBBI. So basically, this means that the pitcher threw him an unintentional ball, and then Bonds fouled one off, and then he took balls 2 and 3. So the count was 3 and 1, and the pitcher was just like, "I'm good." So obviously, if Bonds didn't have a bat for this plate appearance, he couldn't have possibly turned this into a strikeout. The same should go for all of these, right? Bat or not, the walks would stand as called, right? Well, that's almost always true. Some require further analysis, like this one, CBCBBFB. That means there was a called strike, ball 1, another called strike, ball 2, ball 3, and then, on full count, a foul. Our Barry Bonds can't hit a foul ball because he doesn't have a bat, so what does he do? What do? We simulate it. What do we think that foul ball would have been if Barry didn't swing at it? Well, thanks to data I found on Fangraphs, if he swung at a pitch, there was an 80.9% chance it was somewhere inside the strike zone. That's quite a compliment to him, but it's kind of a drag for us because that means there's only a 19.1% chance this was a ball. So to reflect those odds, we generate a random number between 1 and 1,000. If the number we get is 191 or lower, it's a ball. Any other number is a strike. The odds are against us here, but we've got a shot. Full count. 191 or below, he walks. Oh, crab apples. Well, he struck out on this one. We had to take some other walks off the board, too. Of the 14 walks up for foul ball review, 6 ended up being simulated as strikeouts. So instead of his 232 real-life walks, Bonds now has 226 walks, plus 9 hit by pitches for an on-base percentage of .381. Is that good? Yeah, it's actually really good. He's already in the 82nd percentile of all the eligible seasons in baseball history. Of course, it's nowhere near the 609 he managed in real life with a baseball bat, but it's still good enough for 27th in baseball that year, right between Ivan Rodriguez and Sean Casey. But of course, we're not done counting yet. I ran each of Bond's 41 strikeouts through the same simulation just to see if we can get any of them to flip. And just as before, all the pitches in white are real-life pitches that remain unchanged in our simulation, and the orange pitches are the ones that have a 19% chance of being a ball. But for some of these, we needed more. Check out this one. Ball, ball, foul, foul, strike. In real life, that's a strikeout, but our Barry didn't swing at those, and one of them turned out to be a ball. The next pitch ends up being a strike, the count's full, and we ran out of pitches. We have to make another pitch up. Now, the good news here is that we don't have to use those odds we were using before because those are restricted to pitches Barry swung at. We get to dig out of the barrel of every pitch thrown his way, period. This can be any old pitch, and in total, 58.7 of all the pitches he saw were balls. So this time, the math is a lot friendlier. Anything 587 or below is a ball, and anything above is a strike. So in this plate appearance, the better odds didn't really help us, but in total, we did manage to flip a few. We can add 7 more walks to the total, which pushes Barry Bonds' on-base percentage to .392. Now he's in the 88th percentile, despite not having a bat. Pretty amazing. He now ranks 18th in 2004, right between Gary Sheffield and Vlad Guerrero. So you think we can get him here? Can Barry lead the league in on-base percentage without a bat? We have 335 plate appearances left to find out. No way. You cannot have the best on-base percentage in the history of baseball without a bat. Impossible. I must have done something wrong. I did all the calculations correct mathematically.
Yeah, he just basically talks about the simulation. His simulation seemed legit to me. Barry Bonds without a bat, most devastating hitter or devastating, fearsome batter of all time. Anyway, check Google Classroom. Make sure you're updating stuff. Hit the lights. Yep.